You're watching Mugen TV RPG Haven. Experience a fantasy like no other.
Hey guys, it's MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video, and today we're going to revisit Stranger's Paradise Final Fantasy Origins, because Square Enix had just recently dropped a new trailer, which was essentially last night, so let us dive right into it. I wasn't really expecting Square Enix to drop a trailer last night at all, even though that I know that the game is supposed to release sometime in March, which is my birthday month. My brothers Kill Lancer and DX Strike, they came upstairs and told me, hey, they just dropped a new trailer for the game. So I decided, oh, let's go check it out. So they gave us a few new details as far as the story is concerned. If you guys haven't checked out my previous video regarding this game, I was still like really push this emphasis on this. Don't really expect much as far as the story is concerned. Yes, I know Square Enix and Team Ninja and the team are getting together to work on the game, but I wouldn't expect a super epic Final Fantasy story. Just by some of the scenes they are showing off, even in the beta and even in the previous trailers, it's like it's going to be a convoluted story and it's going to be pretty wacky and all over the place. And sometimes you don't need that all the time for a lot of games, especially since this game is more putting heavy emphasis on the whole Dark Souls aspect. So people is more so going to run into this game and go into this game essentially for the gameplay itself rather than a epic story. And another thing about the trailer, we have been introduced to another important character. Her name is Sarah, so she's going to be playing a vital role as far as the story is concerned, and I'm really curious to see what her relationship is with Jack, because they do show Jack in the scenes from time to time with this character. And not just that, if you play any of the older Final Fantasy games, the Warriors of Light was essentially the biggest theme to the older games alongside the crystals. So it looks like they also introduced another character that I guess have the official team for the Warriors of Light, and this new character is named Sophia. Like I said, I love my female characters in a lot of my JRPGs or action games and everything, and Sophia, I definitely like to try her out. Now, the funny thing about it is, it seems like since this game is heavily focused on customization, they introduced Sophia and she's wearing a basic black polo shirt, which is just kind of funny because of where this world is supposed to be established in, which is the original Final Fantasy 1 game. So it's kind of weird seeing them with modern clothes and everything. So it's another thing that really gets me is the fact is that this is an origin story of Garland. Now, me growing up, I always thought that the armor, the character that's in the armor, or the armor itself is Garland. But now with this game, since we're getting more backstory with this, the armor itself is Chaos, but the character within the armor is Garland. And this is what the story is focusing on. And, you know, when it comes to Final Fantasy 1, it didn't really have any like actual story. Story is very minimal. So it's kind of like fun, and I think it's kind of unique that they're going back to revisit older Final Fantasy games, especially the older ones, because there's more room to play around with, to expound on its world, its characters, and just formulate their own story. So I just think that's pretty cool. But another thing that I find kind of weird is Jack's personality in this trailer, because it's very much a contrast from the previous trailers. Like, he went from asshole to gentleman, or maybe that's just scenes from his past with Sarah. So we just gotta really like have to wait and see how all that plays out. And what I laugh at most of the time too is this is the world of Final Fantasy 1, which is more medieval fantasy, and they're walking around with cell phones. I just found that kind of funny. That's why I'm saying, like, this is gonna be pretty wacky. Now, as far as the visuals, it seems like the visuals have pretty much received a slight polish from what we saw in the previous trailers and from what me and my brothers played in the beta. So I don't know, I think this may be it. The game is just around the corner, so I don't think they'll probably do any more to polish the game even any farther, since this is a last gen game. This is essentially a PS4 game that's just being ported over to the PS5 and PS5 users like me and my brothers. And my issue that I do have as far as the visuals is the art direction of the game, because it really doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game from what I played in the beta and everything, because this game has a real, like, as far as the color palette is concerned, it's very dark, very muddy and murky. And I understand that it's a Souls game, but just because it's a Souls game, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to just be dark, because the Final Fantasy world, especially Final Fantasy 1, if you go play the older games, they were very bright, very colorful, and I wish they would have put more emphasis on that, so it make you feel like that, hey, this is a Final Fantasy world, or I am in the world of Final Fantasy 1, but they really pushing the darkness in this game, you know? But it's not enough to turn me away from the game. That's just my gripe with it as far as the visuals. Now, as far as the gameplay, within this trailer, the trailer do show off some more combos, and as far as combat is concerned, they also introduce more bosses, and I'm telling you right now, the difficulty for this game is going to be nuts. It's definitely going to be nuts, and I can't wait to experience this in multiplayer mode with my brother. And I think this trailer is showing a bit too much as far as the enemy types are concerned, especially with the bosses. They're showing a whole crap ton of bosses, which is ridiculous, and I'm already telling you right now that it's going to be nuts. Now, as far as classes, they didn't really show anything new as far as the class is concerned, because like I said, we played in the beta, we have your typical warrior, you have your monk, you have your dragoon, and of course you have your black mage. Now, I didn't see a white mage class at all. I'm hoping that we may even see some characters like a bard or something like that can increase your character stats. So I'm looking forward to see if they're going to implement any other classes, because I just think that would be pretty dope if they do that. But the trailer didn't really put any emphasis on classes at all. But the armor sets looks dope. It looks pretty badass, and customization is definitely going to be the strongest point to this game, to customize your character and all these different weapons and everything, which is going to be like really sick. So I can't wait to see like what armor sets that players are going to have to customize and make each of their characters feel unique than the other person in their experience and their playthrough. So that's pretty much it for this video. It wasn't going to be long at all because the trailer was essentially like 4 minutes. So I just wanted to give you my overall thoughts and what I think about it, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. It releases in March, and hopefully you guys, so I definitely want to know, let me know in the comment sections below, what do you expect from this game? Are you excited for it? Are you not excited for it? Because I mean, this is a different take for a Final Fantasy game with this whole Souls type of gameplay, which I think is like, oh wow, like they really going to press forward with this, and I think it's going to be a different experience. So if you like the video, make sure you hit that like button. If you also want to stay informed for more Final Fantasy news, definitely hit that bell to be notified, and subscribe. This is MugenLord signing off. See you game fiends later. Peace out.